Constraints in DBMS. Constraints are the rules and regulations that are enforced on the data, and we use them for validation of data. It specifies the various conditions the data must satisfy. A constraints could be either at column level or at table level. Column level in the sense applicable to only one column. Table level constraints are applied to the entire table. So we have different types of SQL constraints: not null, unique, primary key, foreign key, checked, and default. So not null constraint, and by default a column can hold null values. If we don't enter any value in any particular column, it will store null if the default value is not specified. To ensure that a column does not contain a null value, we use not null constraint. You see the example, we are creating a table, name of the table is employees, employee ID is not null. Employee ID cannot be null. If there is no employee ID means there is no employee. So employee ID cannot be null, employee name cannot be null. So at the time of table creation itself, we specify the constraint EMP ID not null and EMP name not null. If the table is already created, at the time of creating the table, if we have not specified the not null constraint, we can add a not null constraint by using alter. See that alter table, table name, employees, modify EMP ID not null. Alter table, table name, add constraint not null, either of the way. Now we can insert the data. Insert into employees EMP ID, EMP name, values. So at the time of creating the table, if the constraint is not specified, later we can alter it. Unique constraint. It ensures that all the values stored in a column are different from each other. The unique constraint prevents two records from having identical values in a column. The values must not be repeated. So create table, table name, EMP ID as unique. No two employees can have the same employee ID. As we discussed earlier, if at the time of table creation the constraint is not specified, we can add the constraint later, either using modify or using add. So we can drop unique constraint. We can drop any constraint using alter table, table name, drop constraint, constraint name. At the time of adding the constraint, if you specify the constraint name, based on that, at the time of dropping also you need to specify the concerned constraint name. Primary key constraint. The primary key is the one which uniquely identifies each and every row or record in a table. Every primary key must contain unique values only. A primary key column cannot have null values. A table can have only one primary key. So create table name as employees, EMP ID as primary key, EMP name, salary. If the constraint is not added at the time of table creation, we can add them later. We can even drop the constraint using alter table drop. So foreign key constraint is used to link two tables. A foreign key is a column whose values must match a primary key in a different table. The table with foreign key is called child table, whereas the table with primary key is called parent table. And we use foreign key to enforce referential integrity. If the link is established between two tables, we need to enforce the standards, we need to enforce the integrity rules. Create table name employees, EMP ID is primary key, EMP name, DEPT ID. See the department ID which is references, department tables, department ID. So we are creating a table employees with EMP ID as primary key, whereas DEPT ID as foreign key, which links to department table. Check constraint is to limit the value range in any particular column. In a classroom, we have a possibility of only 40 students. So roll number must be 1 to 40 only. You can make a check constraint with 1 to 40 so that if you are trying to insert 42, 43, 44, anything like that, you will get an error. Look at the example, create table name as employees, EMP ID, primary key. Look at that salary, we have a check constraint, salary greater than 20,000. So we are creating the table with fields, employee ID, employee name and salary. With a check constraint, it must be greater than 20,000. So at the time of entering the data into the table, this condition will be checked. If the condition is not satisfied, means false, the data will not be entered. Default constraint will be giving default value for the fields of a table. For example, consider a student table or a college table. The college is located in Hyderabad. All the student data of the concerned college with city Hyderabad only. So we can give a default value to that city. Look at the example. We are creating a table with employee ID, employee name and salary, and the default some value is given to salary. Means it will be automatically store the default value in salary field. So we don't need to enter any value.